But I don't know if you're centered.
All right. Oh, let me get rid of that. That's not cool at all. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to another episode. First, let us take a moment to introduce ourselves. I am Ian. This is my lovely wife.
Rachel?
We are off Big Family Life in the Simpson Home. You can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, on Instagram. We are 4Fs with the Simpson family, as well as TikTok. And the 4Fs simply represent faith, family, food, and fitness. Faith, because we believe we can do all things through Him, He who loves us. Family, because aside from God, there's nothing else more important on this earth. Food, because food is medicine. And fitness, because we believe wellness, overall wellness, can be achieved through a strong mind, soul, and body. Hence 4Fs. This is another segment of Real Talk, where we kind of just dig in and talk about some of the issues that we've had to overcome in our journey, in our personal journeys as individuals, and then our journey as a blended family. And the hope here is that if anything that we've endured and anything we've been through, if talking about it can help encourage or advise anyone out there, then that becomes an act of service for us, and it's very pleasing to our souls. Tonight's topic is, baby, I'm gonna let you take this one. What's tonight's topic?
Oh, you just told me and I'm already... So when God takes people out of your life, stop bringing them back. So basically what that boils down to is that when somebody's removed themselves from your life, don't rush and try and make sure that person stays in your life, because there could be reasons behind as to why they've either removed or you've removed them. It's either or
they've removed themselves.
Yeah. And just not to rush back, because you either have to just, I don't know how to say that, it would be just to look for the lesson or the blessing.
And that's another topic altogether. However, I would say that
Sorry.
no, don't,
That's sorry.
please. I read something recently. It said that when God takes somebody out of your life, it's because He overheard a conversation that you didn't hear.
Ooh, I didn't hear that one.
He saw something that you didn't see. Right? And quite simply, it doesn't even have to be anything quite so nefarious. It doesn't even have to be anything at all nefarious. It could just quite simply be that God is preparing to take you somewhere that other person is not ready to go. It could be just that simple. God is preparing to take you someplace that other person's just not ready to go. They're on their own journey. Everybody's on their own journey. And I mean, sometimes people are in our lives for a season or a reason, and then it's time to let them go. Right? Now, we might think that, oh, my boyfriend this, my girlfriend that, they left me, and, it's my fault, it's this, that, and the other, and everything else. And I mean, accountability is excellent. Except maybe take a deeper look. Take a deeper look. Because, I mean, we just need to lean a little bit more. I'll share a story, if I will. Years ago, I saw an episode of 60 Minutes, and it was an interview with Miss Oprah Winfrey, and she was a very young woman at the time, and it was before she was, the most successful female in America, et cetera, et cetera. And, she was talking to, you remember that fellow from 60 Minutes with the dark hair, Dan Rather, I believe he is, with the dark hair. You never saw 60 Minutes, did you? All right, never mind. Never mind. I believe his name. I believe his name was Dan Rather, and she was speaking with Dan, and what she said was there was a time in her life, she said, that a certain man had left her, and for a very long time thereafter, she says she cried every day. And she prayed to the Father. She says, please, Lord, bring this man back. Let him come back to me. I'll change. I'll do this. I'll do the other. Because, she just assumed that mantle and assumed it was her fault. However, no amount of prayer brought that man back. And here she was some 20 years later looking back, and she says, and her words quite simply, there's not a day that goes by that I don't thank God that that man didn't come back into my life. So sometimes all you need maybe is a little bit of time, some distance to gain some perspective. Quite simply, sometimes we are just quite often too close to a situation, especially if it's one that's hostile or toxic.
Yeah.
Now, speaking on a personal note, on a more personal note, when I was ousted from my relationship of 25 years with the ex, and we're a blended family here, and my previous partner, the mother of my 4 children, that was a tough pill to swallow. That was so, wow. I was so broken. I was so broken. And for a time, I had no idea what my future might look like. And I mean, when tears, all of that. I mean, nose running. I mean, phone calls, text messages, all of that. And I was so broken, and I was missing my children, and I wanted so much for an opportunity to reconcile. And I just started on a path of really destructive, self-destructive behavior that landed me incarcerated at 45 years old for the longest period that I'd ever been incarcerated. Now, I'd been in and out of trouble, as a young man throughout. However, nothing for this amount of time. I was locked up for a good year. And it was the behavior was absolutely so self-destructive because of my own trauma and my lack of an ability to just be myself, to just be alone. Sometimes you just have to just sit by. If we as individuals, if I can't now be alone by myself for 5 minutes, how can I expect that another person would want to be in my company for that same amount of time? I think that's reasonable, and I think that I read once that being alone is addictive, because if you do it right, being alone can become addictive. You look at it, it's a dangerous thing though, because I have to caution you, because if you're not prepared, when you look into the abyss does look back. And what you see is your true self. And if you're not prepared for that, it could undo you potentially. However, the place where I was at a place where I said that I need change. I can't continue to live the life that I was living. Yeah, I was no longer serving myself, my children, nothing. I was just existing. And so I saw change, and I thought that the Lord needed to put me somewhere where He had my undivided attention. And really, being incarcerated, I say it quite often. I haven't said it in some time. Quite possibly it saved my life. I was heading down a dark path. Drugs, etc., addiction, etc., self-destructive behavior. And so God picked me up, and He, excuse me, because He says, sit your behind down, because we got some work to do. And I said, yes, Father. Because it was me that had prayed and asked for. It was me that prior to that, because when the relationship had ended and I was thrown out for the last time, and that's a tough thing to say. That's a tough, because I was thrown out. I was thrown out. That's real. Yeah, and I moved into a gentleman's home. He had a 1-bedroom house down on Manitoba, across close to Sisler High School. So at least I was close to the kids. And he had 2 rooms up in the attic, and I had one of the rooms, and he was a heavy chain smoker. And it was rough, man, but I had to get a little job, and it was hellacious because, I mean, I was only working like something like 13 to 20 hours a week, and it was like, however, I had to start somewhere, you know what I mean? I had to do something, you know what I mean? So I was doing that, making sandwiches downtown at a little spot called Kay's Delicatessen, you know? And I remember one day I come home, in a little room there, and I went upstairs and I just dropped to my knees and I just said that. I said that prayer. And if you've been there, you know you know the prayer. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Because the funny thing was, though, when I'd said the prayer, I hadn't quite hit rock bottom. I said the prayer because I thought I was at rock bottom. So I said the prayer. And then things changed. My circumstance improved. My situation improved. An opportunity presented itself, and I took it. I went to school, I got my trucking ticket, and things started to progress a little too rapidly. In 2014, I went with Alphonse, joined a little church. My good friend Alphonse, Kim and Ginny. And good, godly Christians. Shout out to that family. They helped, I mean, my prayer warriors, some of my prayer warriors, they've been praying for me from before I knew I needed praying for. I've known Alphonse since I was a kid. Since we were kids, going back 15 years old, you know. And his wife, they've been together from time now. And so I moved in with that family. I was working just up here at 4 Tracks Trucking. And, you know, even that, they ended up going to church and everything was looking lovely. Bottled a car. You know, I was on the come up. I stayed close because, you know, I needed that fellowship. I needed to stay close. I needed to be under wraps. I needed to be close to a good, godly family to keep me under control. And everything was going well. I mean, I was still missing my family. I was still missing the ex. I mean, that wasn't going well at all. However, I mean, one afternoon, I'm driving truck, delivering stuff around the city here, and making deliveries around the city here. I'm driving truck, and I was overcome, man. I'm I'm at the Bison yard and I'm picking up a trailer. And all of a sudden, it just hit me, man. I'm destitute, man, and the tears, and then my nose is running, and I'm driving around the yard like this, and I'm like, I can't do this, man. I'm a danger to myself. I'm a danger to the people around me. I put the truck down. I parked the truck. I put the trailer down, right? And I took the cab, and I think, thank you, sister, thank you. And I took the cab. No, I took the cab, not a taxi, but the cab of the truck. The cab of the truck, because I put the trailer down, and it's just a day cab, so it didn't have the bed and thing in the back, so it's just one of those little day cabs you see driving around the city. And in that, I called my pastor and I drove the cab to the church. And I drove the 4 Tracks truck to the church, and I parked in the church parking lot, and he was there because, you know, he's a full-time pastor at a little church, WEC. It was a great, wonderful Pierce, wonderful experience. And I just went in there, and he just ministered to me. And I went home. I took the rest of the day off, and I went home. And we have we had a problem there with the stream. It disconnected, but it's still recording though, so we should still be good. Okay. And it's telling us it's reconnecting. And of course we're still okay over here. Okay. So I went there, and then so that happened. So now we go through that, and then an opportunity presented itself, and I had to go drive hazardous materials, and I went and did that because the pay was good. We were shipping ammonia, and that was an experience. I mean, that stuff is wow. And so now I'm out in Brandon, and yes, ma'am. The Lord lifts those that are bowed down. The Lord loves the righteous. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good to know that we're back on Facebook. Thank you, sister. And so now no, we're not in Saskatchewan yet. We're in Brandon. And now from Brandon, an opportunity presents itself out in Saskatchewan. So the problem is that I'm getting further and further away from my little church. I'm getting further and further. So now I'm all the way out in Saskatchewan and making great money. But I mean, I'm 4 hours away from home, 4 hours from my supports. And what's worse, I'm working. What am I? I'm 1 on, 2 or 3 off, 3 off, 7 on, 3 off, and yeah, 7 days on, 3 off, and just yeah. So needless to say, I fell back into some bad behavior, came back, and it was just, wow. It was right around that time that in 2015, I decided that I'm going to be the Nino Brown of Winnipeg, and I'm gonna leave my job because it was just, I was just so far along in my addiction. I was unsafe.
We're
So
just making easy choices just for that, yeah.
However, I was unsafe on
Yeah.
the job, and I was driving heavy equipment, and so I made a decision, and maybe God made a decision for me in that I was going to walk away from that because I was no longer safe. I mean, even in the city here, so operating 70,000 kilograms of weight, and I was unsafe. I was unsafe. And so I said that, okay, I'm going to do this. I'll say this about my limited experience in selling drugs. You don't sell drugs. And if you know, you know, right? If you know, you know. You don't sell drugs. Drugs sell themselves. All you do is you answer your phone, right? And that's all I'll say about that. And it wasn't until that point now that I hit rock bottom, because now, now the wheels are really falling off, And so the long and short of it was that I ended up going to jail, could have beat the charge, sat down, held myself accountable, and said, no, we're not going to go do time. We're going to go do work. Because again, I'd looked into the abyss and identified that there were deficiencies within my character, and that if God was willing to sit with me and work on that with me, then I was willing to do that work with him. Now, I said all of that to say this, because even in the midst of it, right, I still was hurting within myself, missing my children, and still had the idea that I wanted to at least try to reconcile and save that relationship for the sake of my children. So I go in and I do that good work. And I come back out. Now, I come back out, I'm a year clean. I'm a year clean and sober. Right? I mean, you go to jail, all you have to do is eat right and work out and, read my Bible. I read it Genesis to Revelation for the first time. I set that goal. I wanted to read it front to back. So I did that. And I still had the Bible, did a little Bible study course. I still had the Bible that I got for that. My certificate, very proud of all that. I'll keep that for the rest of my life. Part of the journey. So then I come out, and now, however I come out, I'm a changed man. Or at the very least, I'm on my way to becoming a changed man. And I very quickly realized that the situation that I came out to was the same situation. So I walked away. And I mean, this had been ongoing for 25 years. And I mean, over the 25 years, there were times when, a couple times I left prior, and I mean, but it always was just a back and forth thing. And, however, this time I walked away. And now here I am these years later, happily married, by grace, manifesting my best life. And as such, I can sit here and say unequivocally, when God takes somebody out your life, don't be in such a hurry to bring them back. And again, it doesn't have to be anything nefarious or insidious or any of those. It doesn't even have to be any of that. It could be all right. You can't, if it's blessed, then God is in it, and He wouldn't have removed that person. So I won't use that word. It could be all right. It could be just something quite as simple as, right? God is about to answer your prayers, because we all pray. Something mostly in our hour of need. But that's all right. Just pray. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Just pray. It don't matter whether you pray. Don't feel bad that you only pray when you want something. It's fine. Just pray. And if you can't pray, just converse. Just have a conversation with your God. It's fine. He don't care that here he come. Oh, he must be in trouble again. No, none of that. No, none of that. Just happy to hear from you. Just happy to hear that you plugged in. And He always on the line. It's never busy. Anytime, night and day, it is not busy, not ever. He always on the line. Just pick up the call, pick up the phone and give him a call. Give him a try. I dare you. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Give him a try. Again, so it could be something just as easy as, God is ready to take you to the next level. But the people in your circle, they're not ready to go. You gonna block your own blessing? What you got to add to that, my love?
I think you handled that pretty well. Because I'm just like at that point in the day, I'm mentally drained. I've wrote 2 tests today.
Wrote two tests today, back to back.
And I'm
and just came out of class, as a matter of fact.
and then had class after.
So that was a Ojibwe class. Learning a new language over here.
My whole
your mother tongue. However, it's relatively new to you because you didn't grow up speaking it. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so it's just trying to wrap my head around all the, However, just to add to that is that, those relationships, either they're friends. I like this one with the girls. With our 16-year-old and 14-year-old daughters. They, we're kind of lucky that the 16-year-old is...
so introverted?
So, yeah, because she's not much to, go out with friends or, have friends over.
Not at all. Not much. I mean, not at all. I mean, we've tried, and now she got Bentley. It's even worse. It's her brother, and Bentley. And that's such a blessing because there's so many of us that... there's so many of us. We don't really need to go anywhere or do anything. There's just so many of us, and there's just so much to do. Go on, sweetheart.
No, and I've already lost my train of
thought.
thought.
You were saying the girls because Jasmine is so introverted.
So for her, I see, like, she doesn't have much friends. I said, however, just choosing those quality of friends. I said, usually show me your friends, and I'll tell you
your heart.
Your heart. So with that, that's it's just. I guess it's not even just to add on to your life story. For me, it was, I didn't, with the kids' dad, it wasn't more, I left him. He actually chose his addiction over the relationship, and so he walked out on us. And it was actually, women, it's so different because, like, with his story, he was so distraught, and for me, it was like I was already emotionally checked out of the relationship years before. So, I took it as a blessing when he was like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm like, okay. It was like the easiest thing. Easier for me anyways, because I was already emotionally, women usually emotionally check out of relationships than men. So it was...
Hold that thought a second. Public service announcement to fellas. Fellas, take care of your woman's emotions. If a woman emotionally checks out, I'm sorry. Once a woman has emotionally checked out, take care of your woman's emotions. And take care of your own. Even more importantly, take care of your own so that you're in a place that you can take care of hers. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, so it was like once, yeah, he left, I was fine. However, I had to relearn myself, and actually be comfortable to be alone. So it took me quite a while to learn how to even just go into a restaurant by myself, sit down and have a meal. I used to travel a lot for work, and I used to have my meals in the hotel room by myself, and then finally I became so comfortable with myself and who I was that I was able to actually go and sit and have a meal by myself. So it was just, being in a relationship from the age of 16 until, you're 30 something, I think. It was, I had to learn how to be alone. And I think it was one of the better lessons that I've learned. And I really enjoyed it because it's still something that I can actually leave home and feel okay to be out. Not in right now, but
yeah, she don't really leave a home right now. Yeah.
However, yeah. So just that. It's just I had to look for that lesson or that blessing that, that he left. And it was also just learning to be uncomfortable. Because, when you're uncomfortable, you always try and go back to what feels comfortable, even though it's unsafe or toxic. It's what you know.
Right.
And so I had how many years of just accepting certain behaviors and treatment, and it was like at that point, like, yeah, that was a comfort. So being uncomfortable was something I have to learn.
And you said to me the other day that, being uncomfortable is so important because being uncomfortable is what?
What did I say? New opportunities.
No, you had said what it is that God make you uncomfortable when he wants you to grow.
Yes, sorry.
Why are you sorry? Don't be sorry.
It's
not, hey, how you doing? Good to see you again. You found us. Thank you so much for stopping in. Please send me a request and we'll be friends again. Yeah, we're back. I'm back, but on a totally different thing. We'll catch up. Go ahead, please.
I'm good.
And so again, when God takes somebody out of your life, please don't be so quick to bring them back. It's possible God's heard a conversation you didn't hear. He saw something you didn't see. Heard something the other day that is so blessed because he says every friend is a potential enemy with better position and better ammunition. Be careful of the friends and the company that you keep. Not everybody is in it to see you come up. Not everybody is in it to see you come up, especially when you're coming from a place where I'm coming from when you're talking about addiction and things like that. Now, I mean, it's the dynamic here is so very interesting because I think the extent of her involvement with the law, she was on a fast track to become a RCMP officer, and then, life got in the way. And I think the extent of her involvement with the law is a speeding ticket. You got a speeding ticket one time in Winnipeg, a red light camera, you told me.
No, that was just, that was the first year I moved here. I learned about those. I learned about it the hard way. I didn't know about speed.
And then there's me. And I mean, by no means am I like a mastermind criminal or whatever. However, there has been, thank you so much, you as well. There has been some involvement with the law, and it's just so interesting, the dynamic here, because we have these epic conversations about just because it's legal, is it right? Just because it's legal, is it right? Is it moral? Because slavery was legal. Residential schools were legal. But was it moral? Was it right? Right? So these are just great philosophical conversations that we have, and we bounce it back and forth, and it's just so encouraging to be able to to have to freely exchange ideas and not be upset because we might have a different idea or we might stand on a different position on this particular issue. But at the end of the day, where it matters, God, that's, we're there.
And also looking at each other's personalities, because I'm one of those, like, I don't like breaking the law. I like following rules. And then for me to look at the gray areas has been really eye-opening. So it's like something that I'm working on. And I say it because usually I was like the black and white, right and wrong.
Right.
However, looking at the gray areas that surround it and say, hey, yeah, this doesn't add up.
I mean, life does seldom really occurs in that spectrum of black and white. I mean, there are so many different shades of gray, and that's really where we kind of live, you know what I mean? And for me, it's like my own personal philosophy over the years has changed, and I'm really committed to the idea of, like Bruce Lee said, be water. When water enters a vessel, it becomes that vessel. Water flows, and at the same time, water can crash, right? The most destructive force, however, at the same time, the most gentle, right? Water adapts. Water flows. Water is calm, serene. So I'm really committed to being water, and to just. It's. I guess if I think on it, it's a bit of it's a bit of a contradiction, because I want to be water, but at the same time I want to be an empty vessel. Water fills an empty vessel, but however I don't want to be full, because if my cup is full, there's no room for learning. If I'm full, there's no room. So I want to have the flexibility of being water. However, I still want to be an empty vessel so that God can continue to pour into me. Right? So then again, when God takes somebody out of your life, and again, it doesn't have to be for nefarious reasons. It doesn't have to be for, in our situation, the blessing for me, it took me years. It took me for 2012 to 2017, 5 years. And one of those years I was incarcerated, and that was the last year. And it took me 5 years to even begin to get to a place where, hey Tony, good to see you. What I mean is, he said, I lost him where I said at the vessel. Just quite simply, I want to be an empty vessel so that I can learn. If my cup is already full, there's no room for learning. And it took me 5 years to get to a place where I could actually breathe. Where I actually could see a future, where I could see that light, if you would, at the end of the tunnel, and it got bigger and it got bigger. And I mean, it was hard work. It was hard work. But one thing it wasn't, it was not lonely work. I was not alone for a single solitary second of that experience while I was incarcerated, because my God was with me every step of the way. And when the load became too heavy, he bore it. There were times in there where I was, yes.
What was that you were saying? You had joy.
Imagine that. No, I did not call you an empty vessel. What I'm saying is I want to remain an empty vessel so that I can continue to learn. Imagine that. I had to go to jail to find my joy. I had to go to jail to find myself. I mean, I didn't have to, But that's what happened. I didn't have to, but a knucklehead, right? I didn't have to, but that's what happened. But I went to jail to find joy. And I went to jail and I found myself. And I went to jail, and most importantly of all, I found my God waiting there for me. And when I say to you that God will put people in every step of your journey to help you along the way, yes, sir, what would you call me? You would call me they say that that the criminal justice system has three phases. There is incarceration, rehabilitation, and reintegration. And I think that I'm a successful example of all three. I was incarcerated, I was rehabilitated, and now I have reintegrated into society and become a productive member of society. Oh, thank you. Thank you, brother. And so, when I say to you that God will place people along your journey every step of the way, I'm speaking from my own lived experience. I mean, here's a fair question. If God is so good, why does good things happen to bad people? If God is so good, why does good things happen to bad people? What a bad thing happen? Excuse me. Thank you, my love. Why does bad things happen to good people? I have no real answers. However, I can tell you what was suggested to me. And Elder Reed would say quite often that, we got to go through. Why do we have to go through? We got to go through because when God brings us through the other end, then he will have a living and lasting testimony to the grace and glory of his magnificence. Because I done come too far. He's done brought me too much, through too much. Right? I now have my living, and this is it for me. All I can do now is talk about the goodness of God. I got nothing else. I have nothing else. I am now a living witness. I am now a living testimony to the grace, glory, magnificence, to the power of God. Right? So, I mean, I've had my existential experience with God. I mean, he done brought me through too much. I dare you to try it for yourself. Right? So why do good people suffer? Because let me tell you, man, everything that I've been through, and I've been through. Let me tell you, man, I've been through trauma, abuse, whatever I've been through. But let me tell you, when every step of the way, I wouldn't change a darn thing. I am right where I need to be in this life. I am right with who I'm supposed to be with. I wouldn't change a thing. Because every wound, every scar, every hurt has helped to make me the man I am today. And today, at least, I'm doing okay. I'm not perfect. But I'm a whole lot better than I used to be. Reminds me of a book that I read in The Tale of Two Cities, right? Remember this mind of mine, what it hold on to, right?
I know.
The information that it hold on to. The opening stanza of that book is, it was the best of time, it was the worst of times. A time of this, that, and the end, the last sentence is say, it is a far, far better thing that I do that I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I have than I have ever had. God bless you and keep you. And remember, when God takes somebody out your life, please don't be so quick to try to bring them back. You got anything you want to add to that,
I'm
baby?
good, baby.
All right.
Good.
Whew. God bless you. That felt real good. Thanks very much for coming along for the ride. Hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon, baby. You over here. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tony, for sticking around. Angie, thank you very much. Our viewers that came and stopped in. We do this every night at about this time. And yeah, we'd love to have you come back, and please interact. You have something to say. You have a favorite verse you want to share with us. You have something that gives you strength. Please share that with us, because I want some of that. You have a prayer request? Yeah? Send it. Yeah, we do that too. Let us pray one for the other. God bless you all. Thanks for coming along this evening. We'll see you again next time.
Good night.
Good night.